A political and legal firestorm erupted in Washington after explosive claims that the Federal Bureau of Investigation secretly subpoenaed the phone records of two figures who now sit at the very center of power. According to Reuters, the records of Kash Patel and Susie Wiles were obtained during 2022 and 2023, when both were private citizens and close allies of Donald Trump. At the time, federal investigators were pursuing two highly sensitive lines of inquiry: alleged interference in the 2020 election and the retention of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. The investigation was later overseen by Special Counsel Jack Smith, appointed in November 2022 to take charge of the probes during the administration of Joe Biden. Patel now alleges that the seizure of what are known as toll records, detailing call times and recipients, but not content, represents a grave abuse of power by prior Bureau leadership. In a sharply worded statement, he described the actions as outrageous and deeply alarming, claiming the subpoenas were buried within prohibited case files designed to evade internal oversight. Reuters has reported that many of Patel's claims could not be independently verified, including the precise timing, scope, and authorization of the subpoenas. Nevertheless, the fallout has been immediate and severe. According to 3 current FBI officials, at least 10 Bureau employees have been dismissed following revelations tied to the targeting of Patel, Wiles, and others connected to the classified documents inquiry. Democrats in Congress have defended Smith's investigative methods, arguing that prosecutors routinely subpoena phone records even of prominent individuals to establish timelines and verify key facts. Indeed, Smith previously told lawmakers that his office followed all Justice Department policies and legal requirements, insisting that records obtained did not include the content of conversations. One particularly sensitive detail has drawn fresh scrutiny. In 2023, the FBI recorded a call between Wiles and her attorney. Officials say the lawyer consented to the recording, but Wiles herself was not aware at the time. Questions now swirl over whether either Patel or Wiles were themselves targets of investigation or merely figures whose communications were deemed relevant to a broader probe. Neither the White House nor Wiles immediately commented on the latest developments. Former Attorney General Merrick Garland, who appointed Smith, has not responded publicly, nor has former FBI Director Christopher Wray, who led the Bureau during much of the inquiry. The political context is impossible to ignore. Patel had publicly claimed in 2022 that Trump had declassified documents taken to Mar-a-Lago, a contention disputed by prosecutors and never formally argued in court by Trump's legal team. Smith later charged Trump with felony offenses related to the documents case in 2023, but the prosecution was ultimately dismissed by a federal judge. Following Trump's election victory and return to the presidency, Smith dropped his appeal. This week, a federal judge permanently barred the Justice Department from releasing Smith's report on the documents investigation, further fueling partisan divisions. Patel has since said he has ended the Bureau's ability to categorize files as prohibited, calling it a necessary reform to restore transparency and internal accountability. The controversy also echoes earlier disputes during Smith's separate probe into alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election, when phone records of lawmakers were obtained. Smith defended those actions before Congress, stating that call records helped reconstruct events surrounding the January 6th Capitol riot and were secured in accordance with the law. Now, as Washington absorbs this latest revelation, the fundamental question lingers. Was this routine investigative procedure in a high-stakes federal case, or a troubling example of political overreach? A dramatic courtroom ruling has slammed the brakes on one of the most explosive investigations in modern American political history. A federal judge has permanently blocked the public release of a special counsel report examining President Donald Trump's handling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The decision marks a stunning legal victory for Trump and raises urgent questions about transparency, accountability, and the limits of prosecutorial power in the United States. At the center of the storm is Special Counsel Jack Smith, whose 2-volume report detailed investigations into Trump's retention of classified materials and alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election. But on Monday, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon ruled that the report must remain sealed, calling its potential release a manifest injustice. Cannon, nominated to the federal bench by Donald Trump, sided with the president's request to keep the findings out of public view, effectively ensuring the report will not see daylight. The investigation into classified documents centered on Trump's possession of sensitive government records at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Palm Beach, Florida, after leaving the White House. Smith's probe once appeared to pose serious legal peril for Trump, producing indictments that intensified political tensions nationwide. Yet the legal landscape shifted dramatically after Trump's election victory in November 2024. Long-standing Justice Department policy holds that a sitting president cannot face federal prosecution, and in light of that guidance, Smith's team abandoned the cases. Judge Cannon had previously dismissed the classified documents case, concluding that Smith had been unlawfully appointed as special counsel. In her latest ruling, she emphasized that defendants who have not been convicted retain the presumption of innocence, a principle she described as sacrosanct in the constitutional order. She noted that while special counsels have historically released reports at the end of their work, such releases typically followed decisions not to bring charges or after convictions were secured. The court, she wrote, struggled to identify any precedent where a special counsel released a report after charges were filed, but no guilty verdict was reached. In this case, the charges were contested from the outset, and Trump and his co-defendants continued to proclaim their innocence. The ruling effectively seals the narrative constructed by the special counsel, preventing the American public from reviewing detailed findings of the investigation.